Hi, this is Matt from Ozuno, and this video is about how to configure DALI device settings. For this video we'll be using the RAPIX Addressing software and one of our USB to DALI interfaces, also referred to as a DALI Red Box. As with our other videos, I'm going to use the term DALI device rather than DALI Lite, because while DALI Lites may be the most common thing that you will use this information for, it will also work for DALI relays or DALI phase dimmers or any other DALI device. To get started, you will need to connect the red box to the DALI line and scan the line. For a guide on how to do that, please check out our video on scanning a DALI line. And while not completely necessary, it does help if your line is properly addressed before configuring these DALI device settings. So if you're not sure how that's done, we also have a video on that. DALI devices are intelligent. We already know they are independently addressable, so you can tell one device from another on a DALI line. But in this video I want to go through some of the key settings each DALI device has and how they can be altered. Once your line has been scanned, you can access the DALI device settings by simply double-clicking on the device short address here, which will open up the setting user interface for the device. The first tab is for the basic settings, which are the most common settings to require configuring. Working our way down from the top, first we have the settings for fade rate and time. Fade rate dictates how quickly a device will dim when it receives an up or down command. So if a DALI dimmer commanded the device to dim up 10 steps, and the device is set at no fade rate, it would instantly jump to the new level. Whereas if it was set to say 5.6 steps per second, it would get to the new level at just under 2 seconds. Fade time is similar to fade rate, but it is used for on and off commands. So with no fade rate set, the device would turn on and off instantly. But if we set it to say 1 second, the device would fade between on and off over that time. Next we have the failure level. This level dictates what a DALI device should do if there is a fault on the DALI line, either via power loss or a short. By default, a DALI device will go to 100% output, but we can select any output level we like, including off. Also, down at the bottom here there is an option to mask this setting, which will mean the device will remain at the level it is at if and when a fault occurs on the DALI line. If a fault occurs, the DALI device will stay at this fault level until the DALI line is restored and the DALI device receives a command telling it to do something else. Next we have the maximum and minimum levels. These settings allow us to control the brightest output a device can be set to, as well as the dimmest output. So if we set the maximum level to say 90%, it means that when the device receives a turn on command, it will turn on to 90% output. And the dim up commands will not be able to increase the device's output past this point either. The minimum level is primarily for the dim down commands. The level that is set here will be the lowest the device can be dimmed down to. You are still able to turn the device off, you just can't set the output level to below the minimum level via dimming. Next is the power on level. By default, when the mains line supply is connected to a DALI device, it will turn on to 100% output. So a DALI light would function like a normal light, which could be turned on and off by connecting and removing power to it. This setting can be changed here though, so we could set the device to a level 0, meaning that it will only turn on via a DALI command. Or you could pick any of these levels up to 100% for it to go to when the power is switched on. There is also the mask option here again, which means that the device will return to the same level it was on when the mains line voltage was disconnected to it. Beyond these level and rate settings, we have the group and scene settings. Here it lists out all the groups on the DALI line, and on the right it will show you whether or not the device is a member of those groups. To change this setting, we can click here and select the option we want from the drop-down box. The scenes section is much the same as the groups section, with all the available scenes listed out. When we click here to make a change, rather than yes or no, we can select the different level options the device can go to for that scene. That's it for the basic tab, so we'll move on to the next one, which will be specific to the DALI type for the selected device. For this device, as it's an LED, we have the LED tab, which allows us to select a different dimming curve or a fast fade timer settings. After that we have the status tab. This tab isn't configurable, but will give us a lot of feedback information from the DALI device. Right here it shows us what output level the device is currently at. And below there is also a lot of DALI specific information. We can also get status information on the control gear of the DALI driver and the LED output in this case. This can be very useful information when trying to fault find a defective device. But it's worth noting that the information available on this tab will be different depending on the type of device that we are interrogating. For instance, A DALI relay won't give us any information about its LED features because it doesn't have an LED. All of this information is collected when we first double-click the short address to enter this window. If we want to update the information, we can click the refresh button here. The last tab is the database tab, which will display any information stored in the RAPIX project file regarding this device. To save any changes made to the device in this window, we are going to need to make sure that the checkboxes down here are checked, and then we can push the OK button to save the changes. If we want to set the device back to its factory default DALI settings, we can hit this Set to Defaults button here and then OK. If we want to leave the window without programming any of the changes, we can hit the Cancel button to exit. Different DALI device types will have different setting tabs available to them. For example, DALI Emergencies will have an Emergency tab, which contains their testing and emergency information. And DALI Type 8 color fittings will have the Advanced tab, detailing all the color settings for the fitting, including power on and failure color, and their color settings for all the scenes. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is a couple of tools that RAPIX Addressing has to speed up configuring DALI device settings. And the first one I want to talk about is the Program button down here at the bottom. This Program button is designed to allow us to make changes to all the DALI devices on the line at the same time. So if we click the Program button and then DALI device and then line, we will get a window pop up, which will look like an unpopulated version of the DALI device settings window we were looking at before. The difference here is that any changes we make will be pushed out to all the DALI devices on the line when OK is clicked. So for example, let's say we wanted to set the power on level to 0%. We can hit this drop down here, set the level, and then hit OK. And now if we go back and check any of the devices on the line, their power on level has been changed to 0%. The Program tool can be a massive time saver when it comes to making changes across an entire line. The next tool I want to show you is the Edit tool. It works very similar to the Program tool, only rather than programming all the devices on the line, it only programs the devices we have selected. So let's say we wanted to make changes to DALI devices 1 through 5. We could hold the Shift key and select all these devices. Then we press the Edit key. We will get another pop-up window like we were programming a device. Let's say we want to set the maximum level on these devices to 80%. We can pick that setting from the drop-down here, then hit OK, and there we have it. The maximum level has been changed for the selected devices, but none of the other DALI devices on the line. So the Programming tool and the Edit tool can make short work of setting changes that need to be made to multiple DALI devices. Okay, that concludes our tutorial on how to configure DALI device settings. I hope this information was helpful. If you have any further questions, please contact us at support@ozuno.com. Thank you.